Come on up. How you doing, sir?
Thank you. That's good. Thank you.
Anywhere you like.
Anywhere?
Your show.
Okay. Anywhere.
Anywhere you like.
Oh, there's this very funny movie. If you can find it, I don't know if you can find it. It's called Le Chèvre.
Le Chèvre.
The goat. It's French, and I think we made the American version of it. Wasn't as funny but he's supposed to be the most unluckiest person in the world, and the most unluckiest woman has been kidnapped. So he's hired to find her because they're both the unluckiest. So he's well, how do you know he's unlucky?
Where am I?
You sit there.
He walks into a room. One chair is fixed to break, and the guy goes, "Sit anywhere." And the guy goes, "Anywhere? I can say it." And he goes to every chair, and then finally sits down on the one that breaks. It's hysterical.
And as he sits, we're good. All right.
All right, we're good.
Did we almost break a chair?
No. That was just
That was almost the ultimate setup, though.
a movie called Le Chèvre.
Le Chèvre, the
I mean,
goat.
if you like that kind of
Please
stuff.
silence your phones.
Gerald Depardieu is in it.
Mine wasn't on.
Gerald Depardieu. All right. The only
everybody.
Frenchman to actually play in a Three Musketeers movie.
Really?
As far as I know, because every
other, yeah.
it's been either an English or an American that's played in those movies. So
Yeah.
we give them props for that and a lot of other things. But how are you folks doing today?
Good.
Well,
We're good.
doing okay.
Yeah, just okay. How's Hamilton been for you?
Hamilton is wonderful. All day yesterday I thought it was Friday, so I was like, this is really busy for a Friday. What did these people do? I like that I see my name from here on his shirt, so he's come bumping.
Came all the way from Windsor, if I remember correctly, to work.
I actually filmed a movie here about 20 years ago called Pooch and the Pauper. And it was filmed right down the road a little ways. There, I think you guys have like a replica of the White House. Or where is that? Okay, just
it's not
right
far
down
from
there. And the Pooch and the Pauper is kind of like, you know, the Prince and the Pauper with dogs, basically. It's the president's dog.
The president's dog. I love it. So let's get into things here, folks, if you don't mind. So, Home Improvement, life-changing series for you both, of course. When you do these panels and stuff, you get all the same questions. I want to ask you something, maybe something a little different. What is the one thing that you think of, though? What comes to your mind when someone says home improvement to you?
Oh, wow. It's been a part of my life for so long. It's now my life. But you have to understand, I didn't get the role of Al Borland. Home Improvement didn't start till I was 35.
Right.
So I had a lot of life up until 35, but you know, in the acting world, I was doing theater, I was doing some commercials, I was doing little parts in movies like that, but everything, my job was finding work. That was my job. And once Home Improvement happened, it was like, okay, it's almost like I can relax in a way, in a sense that this is now going to be okay for a few years. I don't have to immediately find the next job.
You finally get a break. It's almost like coming home. You develop a new family, and this becomes your family 5 days a week, 24 weeks, 26 weeks a year. You spend more time with everybody at the set than you do really your own family, and then you go home.
But it's like a regular job. It's 9 to 5.
Right.
It is.
Monday through Friday. Weekends off, a week off here, there. It's probably one of the easiest jobs in the world.
Fridays were very long. They were not 9 to 5. We would shoot the show, get it in the can. We'd have a break for dinner, and then we would come back in and do a live audience. And that would go sometimes until 10 o'clock at night, sometimes later.
We were pretty quick.
Not exactly 9 to 5.
No, but we didn't start till noon.
Not bad. It's not a bad life, though, the way you look at it.
No, but that's, you know, they say 3 camera, but we had like 7 cameras. But 3 camera tape show. We were a tape show as opposed to a film show. So the difference between, like, say, the Seinfeld or Frasier and our show, you can see there's a difference. But we won Emmy for best lighting of any tape show. That was our big Emmy win.
That's the one that Tim still has on the mantle.
Yeah. No, Tim didn't get it. That was Don Morgan.
So let me ask you, when you came on, Debbie, when was the first time you all met? Was it the first table read, or had you met anyone from the cast beforehand?
I met all the cast before because I was on the show prior in the first season.
Oh, I am not smart.
No, a lot of people don't know.
I feel like I have watched the show a million times.
It's a completely different character. I was called in to distract Tim the night he promises his wife he won't look at other women. So, you watched it. You reminded me today. It was, my character was a girl who recognizes him in a restaurant, and his wife goes to the restroom, and I see him, so I pop over, I sit in her chair and ask for an autograph, and meanwhile he's trying very difficultly to not look at me, because he's made a, promise to his wife, and as he's signing, I asked him to sign my last name too, which was Kiki von Fursten Wallenscheinlaw. So I spell it out very quickly, which was kind of the comedy of it, and he's trying to get me to go through it as soon as he can so that Jill won't see, but in the end, as he's doing that, he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He takes a look at me, he dips his bread, and he puts it in his mouth and he chokes on it. And it was like this scene where she actually gives him the Heineken. I think it landed in some Indian tea, somebody's Indian
suit,
tea.
yeah.
Yeah, all the way across. So yeah, that was fun. So I worked with the guys, I worked with everybody, and it was great. I worked on the show for a week and I left, and a couple of years later, the next year, Pamela decided to leave, so they put out a casting for the Debbie Dunning type, but not Debbie Dunning. So they cast for a couple of weeks, and then they called me.
So what was that like coming back then?
Well, I thought I was just coming back for another week on the show. I didn't realize I was being put into guest cast, a reoccurring role. I had no idea until I was in wardrobe, and she just kept bringing outfits, and I was like, this is great, but I think I'm just here next week. And she literally looked at me and said, "Oh no, you'll be here for a while." And really, I had done reoccurring on Married with Children and Who's the Boss and Charlie Hoover. I'd never had a reoccurring, like all the time, like where people thought you were part of the cast. So I went the first couple years as guest starring, and then after that they made me a cast member. It was pretty fantastic.
Now, folks, just like we said on all the other panels, if you have any questions, feel free to throw up your hands there, and we'll come right to you, and we'll be sure to get to you. Now, Home Improvement, multiple years the show goes on, and you guys have so many fans from across the world. Where's been the most surprising place that someone's been like, that they've been from, then you're like, oh my God, did you guys watch that there?
South Africa, there's been a few of them that I'm just shocked. I'm like, how did you see it? Australia, we were number one. Australia, we were number one. Germany, we were number one. Canada, we were number one. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the first place that we syndicated to in the first season was to the Netherlands. So I guess in the Netherlands we were huge also. In France, I think the show was called The Man Who Breaks Things.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They changed the name.
And then every once in a while you can hear yourself being dubbed over with, like in Spanish, or I don't think they dubbed us in Germany.
French.
Did they dub us in Germany? How did he sound? He sounded awesome? Well, of course he would.
I would watch them as it was a dub, and I'm like, she's talking way too quick. But I guess if that's your language, it lined up. But I was like, that's just talking way too fast. There's no way anybody can understand that.
And it doesn't match up with your mouth.
No, they weren't looking at my mouth.
Not with you, baby.
You to it. Thank you, Bob. So, when the show keeps going on for after, say, season 4, what is the mindset there? Are you guys starting to think about like 7 in a movie, or are you just trying to ride it as long as you can, or are you starting to think post-career at that point? Like post-show, I should say.
Well, my son was born the first season.
Oh.
So at that point he was 4. So there's lots of stuff going on with 4 years old, you know, school, getting them to school, making sure that, and so the thought of going off and doing, like, say, a play where I would be gone every night, I couldn't imagine, you know, doing that and not being there for bath time or story time or whatever. So I kind of put a lot of things just on hold. There were a couple of movies that I went away for a week and a half and did and came back, but you know, and at 4 years, it seemed like, you know, you're right in the thick of it. You're right in the middle of it, and it feels like it could last forever. You know, we didn't know that we would have 4 more years, and that's also really close to the time that I started a charity event for my mom for cancer research. So I did that also.
Is that still going?
I did it for 12 years. And then I decided I would go to other people's tournaments.
It's a lot easier just to show up and leave. Get the goodie bag, have a great day of golf.
But 12 years was a good run.
Yeah, it's a huge run.
It was good.
It definitely introduced me into golf. I think I was pregnant the first time I did come to this tournament, and I didn't feel like I was very good at it. So I came the next year and played, and I really enjoyed it. People were like, "You're pretty talented, you should take lessons." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm really going to take this serious." I probably do 30 tournaments a year. I love it because of this guy telling me you should come and do it. We were lucky, our rooms were right next to each other, and then maybe he wasn't as lucky because I did have my baby on the show. And it was nice raising your kids on Home Improvement because my room became the dressing room nursery. And I never had to miss a moment. My nanny would meet me at the car, let my daughter sleep the rest of the time that she slept in her car seat. She'd bring her in, change her, get her ready, and then I'd have her all day with me until I had to go on the set. So, yeah, it was kind of nice. We were bringing up our kids together, sort of, you know.
Yeah, Cooper was in a Halloween show.
Yeah.
He played Simba. And Jonathan Taylor Thomas opens the door, and there's Simba and
coming to the door like trick-or-treating.
What was Tim's character in Toy Story?
Buzz
Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear. So there was a Buzz Lightyear and a Simba, you know, at the door. And Tim's daughter was supposed to play that, but she didn't want to play a boy. She's like, I'm not playing Buzz Lightyear. So they got the costumer's daughter to play it.
That's crazy. Go ahead, Matt.
Have your kids watched Home Improvement?
Yes, they have.
And what did they think of it?
I don't know. You know, Cooper was like, you know, he watched it, but he was like, huh, why'd you do that? You know, or like, that was awfully big. He was hypercritical of Dad, you know, but still, you know, he enjoyed it, and he would bring friends over, you know, because of that. So it was interesting. But he was young when it started, so he didn't really start watching it till, you know, he was 5, 6, 7, cognizantly.
The show ended when my daughter was 2, so it wasn't like she really watched it. She was too young. She was more into Powerpuff Girls and, you know, Power Rangers and things like that. It's funny that you asked that question because there was a lot of decisions that you make as a young mom when you're working on a show. You try to do exactly right things and set the right example. Home Improvement was a great place for me to, you know, be surrounded with love and support and raise my daughter. I did get offered to do Playboy at 1 year, and I thought about it. I was like, that's a lot of money. My dad was still alive at the time, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have kids someday, and I don't think that's gonna go over well in school. And I've never done anything like that, even close to that. So I chose to say no. Well, the other day, my son came up to me and he goes, can you remove that TikTok that you have up of me and you? Well, he was so cute. We did a TikTok and it's like, we did this dance, you know. Everybody was doing that same TikTok at the time. And I said, no, I'm not removing it. You're so cute. And I go, do you think people even know who I am at your school? And he goes, everybody knows who you are, Mom. I had no idea. I had no idea. at all that they knew. And I said, you know why I'm not removing it? Because I didn't do Playboy. And guess what? That is your gift.
Yeah.
Because, no, I'm keeping the cute moments with you. But
There's the gift that keeps giving.
yeah, and I'm really glad that I made that decision, because when you're young and you're struggling and you never know how many shows you're going to do, and like he said, he had this huge life before Home Improvement. I also had a huge life, but it was more in modeling, commercials, little bit parts of the shows. I was making way more than I did my first 2 years on Home Improvement. So you never know. Just take every job, and that's what I'm happy I didn't take. Okay, what's your question?
Did you guys know Tim before signing up for the show, or did you have any misgivings based on some of his criminal past? Like, did that affect your wantingness to like?
I don't think we found out about Tim's criminal past until halfway or 3/4 of the way through the first season.
Oh wow!
And
But we didn't care.
And it basically it came out that somebody was, Tim had gotten a heads up that somebody was going to reveal that, some magazine or rag or whatever, and so he went around telling everybody that. And I don't even know if Disney knew that.
Wow!
In fact, I don't know if Disney was aware that Pam Anderson had done Playboy. Yeah, it's like if they had, I don't know if they would have.
And I feel like Tim, because I remember watching his stand-up back in the Caroline's day and evening at the Improv, and I remember him talking about like his criminal past. Like,
Yeah.
so I feel like it was common knowledge.
You would think, yeah.
So
It's funny when you hide things, people try to get you. But when you tell everybody the truth, they're like, oh, well, he said that, so we can't talk about that. It's a weird thing. I remember we had MySpace and Facebook, and we did everything we could to protect our children and to keep them out of the public eye. And if somebody wanted to film them, they paid you lots of money. To film my wedding, they paid us lots of money. To, anything. And now we are completely in a different world where we're like exploiting ourselves. Children are taking selfies everywhere. Look at this body shot. Look at this body shot. It's completely opposite than, fortunately, how we raised our children. It's different now. I'm part of it also. I've done it.
Well, this is the generation of transition, right?
Yes.
I mean, all of this technology happened basically in the last 30 years, 25 years.
yeah.
So, and when Home Improvement hit, there wasn't all that. So when people would come up to you on the street, it felt odd, like I'm not worthy. You're giving me too much credit for something you're watching on television. And I didn't have anything, there wasn't anybody else's experiences in that. And now, all the younger actors can watch other people, how they deal with fame or whatever you want to call it. But at first it felt a little offsetting because, when we think of ourselves, we're not superheroes, we're just regular people. And if someone comes up and goes, oh God, thank you so much, you're so amazing. I go, well, I had really good writers. But it's the power of television.
I
Yeah.
got a question over there.
Question for Richard. I just bought a screwdriver at Phillips. Can you tell me about it?
There's a
You just
manual.
bought a Phillips screwdriver.
Anchored.
Manual?
Anchor.
Yeah. And,
I would have gone with the 3/4 inch reversible.
well, I bought some anchors and I kind of screwed it in the towel rack in the bathroom.
You need to get a drill.
Well, not necessarily, but you might need to get something to back it onto the drywall, because it won't hold by itself if you put it into drywall. You need to get one of those little wing
There's those
nuts.
little anchors that twist out.
Anchors, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need.
You guys thought it was all just an act. He literally just came.
Just read that question. He's going to go back to his screwdriver right now and take care of that. We want you to send us pictures.
That may be the greatest question. Not the
It's
question
a good
itself,
one.
but the whole process that just happened there was amazing.
You see, we both wanted to help him. What? You
Yes,
just
but-
bought a screwdriver?
They're not just actors, folks.
But not just a screwdriver. It was a Phillips.
It was a little extra for the flathead, so he just went with the, baby steps.
We got a question in the back there. Barry.
How you doing today? You having a good time?
Yes.
Excellent. So here's a question.
I'm also having a good time.
You're having a good time? I'm glad you're all having a good
No,
time.
you're just looking at him.
Oh, no, you don't answer this question, but I got it for both of you.
I don't even want to answer it now.
Oh, well, maybe you do.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, it's not a bad question. On this show, a lot of times, Tim Allen turned around and you did something, and you always held up a sign saying, please call this number, or please send an email. Did anyone ever call in that number?
They did. They got lots of cards and letters, and I don't think they expected to.
Okay. Any of them stand up for you?
I never got to see them because the P.O. box was in Detroit, and we filmed the show at Disney Studios in Burbank.
Well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
That's a good question. I forgot about that.
Amazing. Any other questions there? Right up front.
What was your favorite moments on the show?
Favorite moments on the show?
There's so many. There's so many. I mean, it was a pretty cool, real moment 2 weeks before I actually gave birth to pretend giving birth and having a baby put into my arms. Like, it really made me feel prepared for what I was about to actually really do. And that was one of those moments where I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen in a couple of weeks. This for sure. Like, the funny thing is that when you have a baby, you're holding a baby, you're like, how am I gonna keep this alive? The first woman or mother reaction to me, or mine was like, how am I gonna, this is mine, I have to keep this alive, I have to do the best job I can. That was a good moment. There's so many moments, like literally, like I would wet my pants. Like I would pee my pants laughing, or I would call it, I gotta hit the heel, because I had to go down and go, oh my gosh.
That's why there were so many wardrobe changes.
Multiple pants.
Well, there was one instance where Tim and I got laughing about something, and we never actually got the scene finished. And usually I can pull it together, or I can make Tim pull it together, or whatever. But there was this episode where he invites me over to play poker, and I go, well, is there a theme? You know, Al is very innocent, and Tim goes, yeah, there's a theme to my poker game. And so I show up in like a cowboy outfit.
I see that.
I know, and I got like this giant, 10-gallon hat with a big rim, and when he opens the door, the rim of my hat put my face in shadow, so I would just go. And as soon as I did that, Tim starts laughing, and he could not stop laughing. We 10th take, opens the door, hi Al. And if you go back and watch that episode, he says, hi Al, he never looks at me. He's going, hey Al, I'm glad you're here, come on in. You know, he finally just couldn't look at me.
Didn't you have trouble walking in the door with that?
I don't remember. It took so long to get to walk through the door.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Did I have tough time walking through the door?
Yeah, you did.
It was part of the fun.
You took it off.
Well, I'll tell you, I just started watching the show again. I watched it when it first came out. That's 30 years ago. And I was, when I would watch the show, something would get edited or would be cut, and I would go, well, and I had a different visual, experience of watching the show. Now, 20, 30 years later, I don't remember what got cut, what was there, what wasn't. I'm just watching it in like a regular person and having a great time. But I'm realizing I've told stories, like on something like this, I've told stories of things that have happened that were really fun, and you'll wait till you see it, and it's not there. These are things that just got cut or eliminated, and I forgot about that, and those are kind of the little things that stay in my mind, but they got left out.
Now, you both mentioned how great it was working on set and being able to raise your families there. Are your families bitten by the acting bug at all, or are they in the industry at all?
Not at all. My daughter would crush it. She's very funny, quick-witted. She could be a model. She's tall. She's very confident. She cannot handle rejection. She would never know, because she walks in pretty confident and stuff. I took her a couple times when she was young, and I watched her audition, and I was like, that was just horrible. And we would get in the car, and she goes, I think I got it, Mom. And I was like, well, we'll see. She's like, no, I think I got it. They really liked me. And I was like, at least they made her feel like that. But no, she got older and older and absolutely cannot handle rejection. So she's like, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. And I go, well, you just get rejected so many times.
90% of our job is rejection.
It is rejection. So you don't stop taking it personal, because it's like when you're looking for something, you know exactly what you're looking for in the grocery store. And just because Skippy looks good with, nuts in it, that's not what you wanted. You wanted this one. You wanted whatever it was. So and you just got to remember, it's not you, it's what they're looking for.
It's never personal.
No, my kids didn't get into it.
Well, my dad was a builder. He was a contractor, built the house I grew up in, built all the houses on our neighborhood. He and his dad built homes around the Seattle area. And he said to me one day, he says, I don't know if I could be in a job where you just get rejected so much.
It's true.
It's like he puts down a plan. He goes, this is what it costs. This is what I do. Boom. Yeah, it's like cut and dried. And I go, yeah, I know. Isn't that weird?
It only hurts when you really, really want that part, and you really feel like you're right for it, and you don't make it past.
And there's thousands of stories. You can see them online. Thousands of stories that the person that who got the job, and somebody that auditioned and didn't get the job, and it's just that's the lay of the land.
I didn't get a call back when I auditioned for the Tool Time Girl. I did not get a call back. So I know. Can you believe it? So I came back the next day, and I told the person at the gate, and I remember feeling very hot because it was going to be a lie coming up, and I felt my neck getting hot, and I said, I'm here for the callback, and he's like, oh, okay, good. I remember you from yesterday. And then he said, you're not on the list, and I go, well, I got the call, and he's like, oh, okay, go ahead. Like literally knowing I was doing something wrong, and glad I did.
Sometimes the wrong thing is the right thing.
Did you guys have any prior Tool knowledge before going on the show?
Yes, I was an apartment manager for my side job when I first moved to Los Angeles. And I'm thinking, back then my apartment rent was $900 a month.
Oh, wow.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, but back then it was $900 a month. And I thought, well, this is a great job. And now I'm thinking about it, they paid me $900 a month to do this job. But I did it. And in fact, the guy that I gave my job to when I left because of home improvement started writing Power Rangers. I talked to the woman upstairs who's in Power Rangers. She remembers him. And so that job, whoever got the job after him, probably did wonderful things.
Probably. What a great apartment story.
Yeah. But I know it was time to move on when I got a phone call at night saying that their kitchen sink was stopped up. And I go, I can fix that. I know how to fix a sink. So I knock on the door, and he opens the door, and there's like 15 of his friends. And he goes, you see, Al Borland's our apartment manager.
Well, you were on home improvement at the time.
Well, you never give up your day job. You just don't know. And I went back home and I said, Tootie, I think it's time we look for a house.
Oh, amazing.
Well, when he came on, he was basically replacing somebody who had booked the job and couldn't make the first show, couldn't make the second show, and then it was just too good.
I couldn't even imagine anybody else.
Well, it wasn't even like I was replacing him. He was going to come back and do the show. And he was doing a play in New York. I found this out later from Matt.
He had never done the show, is what I'm saying. He was booked for the pilot.
He was doing a play in New York, and he couldn't do the pilot, and they called me and said, would you mind doing the pilot? And I had only been in California for under a year and a half, and that didn't seem like an insult. But apparently if you're there and you're an actor and you get this role, you should get the role. But that's not how I thought about it, because these were my friends, and I go, yes, I would love to do that. It's a great thing on my resume. I've never done a pilot. Please, I'm very happy you called me to do that. And I went in, I did the pilot, and I walked away and I went, God, these guys are gonna have so much fun. The show was hysterical. We had 10 days to rehearse. We lost the mother after 3 days. Frances Fisher was the original wife to Tim, and after 3 days they replaced her with Pat. which was mind-blowing for a young actor. Are we that disposable? You know,
But she had just had twins. Okay, she had just had twin babies, which was a
But
challenge,
Frances was
too.
good.
Yeah, but not funny.
But it was she was good. She was funny, but the audience thought that she might be a victim to Tim instead of his equal, and that was the wrong kind of funny. They wanted somebody that was, you know, and Pat was that.
Yeah, she wasn't the equal, she was a superior. in a lot of
So
cases.
they, you know, they would. So America would not be mad at Tim, because they would be mad at Tim if Frances had stayed on.
Well, one thing you can't be mad about is how great this panel's gone. You guys were fantastic. Spending so much time here and doing this, I can't tell you how good this is for me, and I'm sure for you guys as well. Have you all had a great time here today?
Thanks for showing up.